I'm actually going to move on to another topic. This is one that's on the conspiracy iceberg list. It's one that people have personally requested because it's so odd and it kind of goes against what we know of, and this one actually will take a while to talk about. And that is the extreme health benefits of nicotine. Now, let me say something right off the bat. Nicotine and tobacco are two different things. And we generally look at chewing tobacco and cigarette smoking as nicotine delivery vehicles, but that's not what we're going to be talking about in this episode. Really, when we talk about the health benefits of nicotine, they're talking about nicotine patches, nicotine lozenges, and nicotine gum. Now, if you've listened to the show early on, I talked about how I used to chew tobacco and then I stopped. I actually started again about a month ago. And it totally sucks. I realized what my trigger is. It's, for whatever weird reason, doing plays during the summer. Every summer, I'm constantly acting up here in Hood River, doing theater. And I've always not chewed, for the past couple of years. I'll quit in the fall, in the winter, in the spring, and then I'll start chewing again in the middle of the summer during a show. Again, I do shows all the time. So I figured out what my trigger is. I've set my quit date. It's the 18th of September, so just a couple days off, about a week off, and I've already bought my last can of chew and all that stuff, because for me, it's not a health thing, it's just a waste of money. For me, $7 a can is just way too much money. So I've said, I'm going to quit chewing by the 18th, probably maybe a little bit before that, but I bought my last can, I'm ready to go on that. Now, when we talk about the health benefits of nicotine, we should start off by saying that there are some obvious downsides to it, and then we'll get into all of the benefits because there's a ton of them. And again, this isn't an excuse to go out and to buy cigarettes or to keep smoking or to keep chewing or anything like that. Obviously, the downfalls is that nicotine's addictive. It's very addictive, but like any drug, it can be kicked. It's just the withdrawal period is very long. The nicotine stays in your system for about 3 days, and the initial withdrawal process is about 7 days. And then you'll kind of have this ebb and flow of withdrawals for about 15 to 30 days out from that. I'm fairly lucky that when I quit nicotine, when I do it right, because what I do is I generally, I've done this 3 times now, I'll taper off with that last can, and then I'll spend 3 days in blissful, perfection. My body's rewarding me with endorphins for stop taking the nicotine. My blood vessels are all working better and everything like that. And you go, Jason, why don't you quit now? Because I have a process and the process works. I've tried just saying, that last can I chewed, I'm never chewing again. I have this process where I have to taper off with that last can. I have to basically say goodbye to it. It's an addiction. So that's one downside to it. The other downside to it is that nicotine doesn't necessarily cause cancer, but it causes existing cancer to grow more rapidly. So if you've had cancer in the past, they don't recommend nicotine therapy or really nicotine at all. And if you have a tumor now, it'll just make it grow quicker. The nicotine itself doesn't cause cancer. The carcinogens in the tobacco and the processing of the tobacco definitely can, but the nicotine itself doesn't. So nicotine can make cancer grow quicker, so that's a bad side, and it's addictive. The good sides are numerous. And doctors, scientists have said, they want to research more with nicotine because the benefits are so good. But the FDA is we don't want your patients smoking cigarettes, and so they have to make that dividing line. The FDA is really not going... Nicotine replacement therapy, like the lozenge and the gum and stuff like that, is approved for getting you off of tobacco. The FDA has not really said it can be used for these other things, so scientists really haven't been able to research it. But it has been shown to reduce not only the symptoms of Parkinson's, but actually getting Parkinson's. The way that it affects your brain can help people with Parkinson's, people who are prone to it, not even get it. It affects the brain, it releases dopamine and serotonin. Again, I don't want you, this is the last time I'm going to say this. I'm not talking about cigarettes or chewing tobacco or snus or snuff or anything like that. I'm talking about nicotine replacement therapy. But in the right doses, it can help with depression. Depression is a leading factor in the development of Parkinson's. It can affect inflammation. It actually is an anti-inflammatory as well. One thing I noticed that when I stop chewing, I'll start to notice painful parts of my body, because I'm 41 years old and I've put my body through a lot of trauma, begin to hurt and ache again. And that's because I no longer have that anti-inflammatory in my system 18 hours a day. It affects estrogen. So if you're worried about being a soy boy, it can actually help with that. It's also been, there's one study among women, not about the estrogen here, but one study among women says that if they're given morphine and nicotine, their pain is at a lower level than if they're just given morphine and a placebo. So they feel that it has some pain reduction issues. It can actually decrease the susceptibility to Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis. I don't know how to pronounce that, but I think you know what I mean. Because it helps reduce inflammation. It can help with Alzheimer's. It can help with ADHD. It can help with things like fine motor skills, alerting attention, short-term memory, long-term memory. It's listed almost as a nootropic at this point, a drug that can be used to enhance the brain beyond its normal limit. It says that it puts users into the alpha brain wave state, creating effortless alertness, attention, creativity. You know, it's funny, I remember when I used to be a musician, I was standing outside I was doing this open mic thing, and I was standing outside waiting for my turn to go on. And I thought, this is why musicians smoke. Because so much of it is, there's so much downtime when you're waiting to go on. You got your guys going up and do their sound check stuff, you're waiting for the club to open or whatever, and so you just start smoking. I never had a problem with smoking. I used to smoke cigars a lot back in the day, and I didn't have any trouble giving that up. But nicotine on its own is less addictive than tobacco. That's something that they've pointed out. And I'm going to include all these links. You could be like, Jason, you're just spouting off stuff. You have no proof of it. And I'll post all these links, and they source everything. But really, it works more than we think it does. They say that it helps people with depression, again, because of the serotonin boost. It can actually make you depressed if you stop taking it, and that kind of goes for any sort of drug that you're taking for depression. But they say the reason why it makes you depressed is simply the withdrawal process. Once you're out of the withdrawal process, you're no more depressed than you were originally. So we have a drug here that helps your physical body, it helps your guts, helps reduce inflammation in your stomach when you have stuff like Crohn's. And like I said, it can even delay the onset of Crohn's. If you have it, it can help with Crohn's. It can delay the onset of Parkinson's. If you have it, it can make the symptoms of Parkinson's less. So it can help with the body, it can help with the brain, it can make you more alert. Making you more creative, that seems very subjective to me, but they're saying that it basically works on those parts of the brain. It would be interesting to see if society does a switch and says tobacco bad, nicotine good. Because yes, nicotine is an addictive substance, but we take a lot of addictive substances because we outweigh the addictiveness with the benefits. Coffee is being a perfect one, or caffeine being a perfect one. It is addictive, but it causes alertness in the morning and it has a pleasant flavor, so we take that trade-off. Nicotine, I guess, also should say is that one of the problems is it does constrict your blood vessels. It's a constrictor. So if you have heart problems, it's not the best thing to take. But again, that may go more with the dosage. When they're talking about like nicotine lozenges, they're talking like 1 a day or 2 a day. They're not talking about like someone who's trying to quit smoking where they're taking them all the time. They would prescribe, if this goes forward, they could prescribe you a lozenge like a normal pill. You take it when you wake up and you get all these benefits because the nicotine's in your system. I don't know if that'll ever happen. People have a real hard time with nicotine because it's tied to big tobacco. One of the weird things I've seen in my life is that when I was growing up, there was this huge push against secondhand smoke. They're like, secondhand smoke kills, you're going to get cancer, your kids are going to get emphysema, it's bad for the environment, people have to breathe it in. And they were like, when I grew up, you could go to a restaurant and they would have smoking, non-smoking. And then you could smoke at work or in bars, and they said, no, you can't smoke at bars, you have to smoke outside. And then they said, no, you got to smoke 20 feet away, and you can't smoke on a plane, you can't smoke in an airport, government building, all this stuff. Because secondhand smoke kills people. And the numbers on that are a little rusty, honestly. But they're saying secondhand smoke is a health hazard. They're saying secondhand smoke is a health hazard. Even if you don't smoke, it's not fair for the other people to breathe that in. So they invented vaping. And they go, okay, we will invent something that will completely get rid of secondhand smoke. We have this new thing called vape. It is vaporized nicotine. You breathe out water vapor. There is no health problem for anyone at all, and it's just pure nicotine for the most part. And it's going to give you the health benefits of nicotine, and it won't affect anyone at all. And they said, nope, can't do that either. Can't vape in a restaurant, can't vape in a public building, you can't vape on a plane, you can't. So the issue never was secondhand smoke. The issue was, we don't like nicotine. We'll legalize weed, and we'll talk about legalizing all these other drugs. The only reason why these drugs are illegal is because of misplaced morality, and if someone wants to do heroin, they totally can. But don't you vape and sizzler, that's wrong. It's super bizarre. Because I'll meet people who are for the making all drugs legal, but they still don't want someone vaping next to them in a restaurant. It's completely harmless to everyone around them. So society says, we don't want this thing. Somebody proposed an alternative that fixes the initial problem of the original thing, and society goes, no, not good enough. So again, their problem never was secondhand smoke. Their problem was nicotine to begin with. So I'd like to see this research go forward, but with that type of mentality, it probably won't. People just don't like big tobacco. People just don't like... I'm not saying trust me, big tobacco is as slimy as they come. But when you offer an alternative product that fixes all of the problems of your original product and you're still saying no, 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 just be honest with us of why you don't like the product in the first place. Don't try to hide it under public health. It's a little conspiracy for you. So health benefits of nicotine, checked off of the conspiracy iceberg. It's true. There are a lot of benefits to nicotine. Just don't chew it or smoke it, and take it in reasonable amounts, and you may be on the right path to having a better brain, possibly. That was a clip from our daily podcast, Dead Rabbit Radio. Dead Rabbit Radio is available anywhere that you listen to podcasts. It's daily paranormal, conspiracy, and true crime news. If you want to hear the full episode that this clip came from, check the link below. Please like and subscribe. And hit that little bell, too. That does some magical stuff. Thanks, guys.